What's up, guys? Brett Appley here from dailyfanmma.com, back with another UFC Quick Picks on Friday here for Thompson versus Neal. This is our final slate of the year on the Mayo Media Network. As always, make sure you're subscribed to the channel, like the video, comment who your favorite play is of the week. It really helps us out. Make sure you also check out the Dogger Pass podcast. That came out on Wednesday. Cody Saftik, Paul Shaughnessy, those guys do a great job as always. That's full breakdowns on the slate today. I'm just going to give you quick picks: cash game play, tournament play, salary play, and of course my fade of the week, which to be fair has bombed the last couple weeks. Last week was tough in general. Billy Quarantillo lost as a cash game play. Tony Ferguson lost as a tournament play. Tisha Torres got that first round KO as via the eye poke. Fortunately, Brandon Moreno did come through as our salary play. He was on the optimal lineup. Real quick, I wanted to kind of give a teaching moment here because I saw a couple people were annoyed with me that I gave out Tony Ferguson as my tournament play, even though I picked Charles Oliveira to win. And that's true, but I think it's really important for you guys to understand that who you're picking to win in these fights shouldn't really have any relevance on who you want to target on DraftKings. And maybe that makes sense, maybe it doesn't, but picking fighters to win or lose, that's such a binary outcome. It's black or white. They win or they lose. And when we're trying to approach DraftKings, it has to be much more from a probabilistic sense, right? There's just a large range of outcomes. So when I approach a fight on DraftKings, I don't simply sit down and say, who do I think is going to win? I'm going to play that fighter. I think about percentage chance to win, right? Is this fighter 51% chance to win, or are they 99% chance? That makes a big difference. And also, what happens when that fighter wins? When they win, do they score well, or is it 50-50? So in the case of Ferguson Oliveira, I have zero regrets about giving out Tony Ferguson as a tournament play because I had a lot of Tony Ferguson. I thought he was a great tournament play, even though I picked him to lose, because when Tony Ferguson wins, which the odds were saying was, approaching 60% of the time, when he wins, historically, he scores very well. A high-volume striker, gets knockdowns, gets finishes. Oliveira, we've seen him quit before, so it's a much more gray area on DraftKings. And if you're simply thinking about fights in terms of win versus loss, you're going to struggle. So just a quick teaching moment there that I understand the dilemma to not want to play against fighters who you're picking to win or lose, but from a DraftKings perspective, you just have to think probabilistically. You have to think about ranges of outcomes and what happens when the fighter wins, not just if they're going to win or lose. There have been many times where I've picked a fighter to lose. I've played the other side because I know when that fighter wins, they have tournament winning upside, and what do you know it, they end up on the winning lineup. So just wanted to throw that out there before we begin the show today. And without further ado, let's just get into the cash game play of the week. This week, I'm going to roll with Christos Giagos at 9.3K as my cash game play of the week. I honestly don't love a lot of this top range. It feels pretty boom or bust. There's a lot of flaws in a lot of these fighters. Christos Giagos is coming in on 3 days' notice against Carlton minus, which is a concern because Giagos, for what he excels at, he's a UFC veteran, a physical guy, good wrestler, grappler. He tends to gas out, and I am pretty worried here that if this fight even gets halfway into the second round, he's going to start to slow down, and by round 3, he's going to gas out completely. That's the red flag that I see. However, I'm not sure Carlton Minus is a UFC level fighter. He's 0-1 in the UFC. He lost to Matthew Semmelsberger. He comes from the Alaskan regional scene. A lot of questionable competition out there. When he took his one step up on the regional scene against Rick Story in PFL, Story handily out-grappled him for 2 rounds, beat him up on the mat, took his back, submitted him. And in his debut, he got taken down a couple times as well, gave up his back again. I don't think he's a good enough wrestler or grappler for the UFC level, and Christos Giagos can definitely wrestle and grapple. Averages 2.74 takedowns per 15 minutes, has landed 13 takedowns in his last 3 fights. I honestly think if Giagos goes out there and just tries to get the fight to the ground early, he's going to have success. He's probably going to take the back of Minus and maybe even get a submission. as I said, there are some risks to this fight, and I could see it playing out where Yagos gets a couple takedowns, maybe can't find the finish, and down the stretch, Minus has the better cardio and is maybe outworking him from range. He's an adequate technical boxer, but cash game play, Yagos is actually the biggest favorite on the slate now at minus 325. Don't have inside distance lines yet. 9.3K, expensive price to pay, but the grappling gives him a pretty high floor and a high ceiling, in my opinion. Christos Yagos, 9.3K is my cash game play of the week. All right, next up for my tournament play of the week, I'm going to give out Jimmy Flick at 8.7K. I'm pretty sure I tried to give out Flick as a tournament option a few weeks back when he was originally supposed to fight Cody Durden. Durden pulled out with pink eye, so now the two are running it back on Saturday. Flick is minus 150, Durden plus 130. Flick making his UFC debut. Flick is 15-5 professionally, coming off the Contender Series, and he has 13 of those 15 wins by decision. And guys, this is the perfect example of what I was talking about with Ferguson and Oliveira. I don't care whether you're picking Flick to win this fight or not. I feel like you need exposure to him every time he fights. And for me personally, whether I'm picking him to win or not, whether it's this fight or 5 fights down the road, unless he's just a plus 500 underdog, win or lose, I'm going to be playing some Jimmy Flick on DraftKings, because when Flick wins, I am pretty confident that he's going to score well because he's such an aggressive grappler. When he wins, it's going to come from takedowns. It's going to come from advances of position. A lot of them. I think he got 10 on the Contender Series. And it's probably going to come from a submission. And his inside distance line in this fight is plus 110. So that's one of the best lines on the entire slate. 8.7K, yeah, that's a moderate price tag to pay. But I think Flick can score 90 to 100 points in a first round finish, second round finish, third round finish, or decision, as long as he gets the win, just because of how aggressive he is on the mat. And Durden, yeah, has a wrestling background. Flick is a questionable striker. I don't think Flick is like a blue chip prospect by any stretch, and I do have real concerns about what happens when he does not get the fight on the ground. That's why he's only minus 150 to win. There are risks in this fight, and I don't think he's a lock by any stretch. However, I just think the chances of him exceeding value on DraftKings are so high in a win that I'm willing to play him pretty much on every slate he's on. Durden coming off that pink eye. I'm not sure where he's at now, having to make a weight cut down to 125. The metrics are in favor of Flick here. I love the aggressive grappling, and that scores well on DraftKings. So 8.7K Flick is going to be my tournament play of the week. Next up for my salary play of the week, I'm going to give out Rob Font at 7.2K. This is a real standout price for me. Font is only plus 130 to win against Marlon Moraes. I'm not the biggest fan of Moraes, to be quite honest. I bet against him pretty heavily against Corey Sandhagen, and I don't think this is as easy of a matchup for Font as it was for Sandhagen, but I do think Font has a real path to victory, and I think he probably should be the favorite in this fight. Moraes excels at early first-round finishes because he's so explosive. If not, he's tends to win by these slow, low-scoring, low-volume split decisions against John Dodson type, Rafael Assunção. And Rob Font just doesn't fit into that style. I'd be pretty surprised if Marlon Moraes could land 55 significant strikes in this fight and win a decision. I think he's probably got to hurt Rob Font early. And Font has generally been tough throughout his UFC career. More importantly, he's just a better boxer at range, higher volume, better cardio. He lands 5.11 significant strikes per minute, only absorbing 3.89 per minute, 63% defense. That's pretty solid. Moraes doesn't even land as many strikes as he absorbs, 3.43 per minute, absorbing 3.9 per minute, 58% defense. Font's also 2 inches taller, has 4 inches of reach, so I just think he's going to be the more active fighter from the outside. He's going to throw head strikes at a high rate. He can just jab Moraes to death. And yeah, maybe Moraes comes out here as the better athlete, hurts Font early and gets this win, but I just don't think that's warranted of a favorite line. And I think more often than not, Font's going to survive a couple hard early minutes, push the pace, and win this fight by decision. Regardless, 7.2K is not much of a risk to pay, in my opinion. I think he's an obvious value on the slate. One of my favorite fighters to play when I'm dipping below the mid-range. Again, Font only plus 130 to win, plus 365 inside the distance. I think he can pick up 80 points in a decision win here. If not, maybe get a late finish. 7.2K. Font is my salary play of the week. Finally, my fade of the week, I'm going to give out Jose Aldo at 8.6K. And I got to be honest, the fades of the week have not been doing too well the last couple weeks. I think it was Gina Mazzani who put up a ridiculous 144 points. And then Tisha Torres put up a ton of points with that first round eye poke KO. And again, the point of this segment is to take a risk here. I could obviously give you a 7.5K fighter to fade or a 8K fighter to fade. I'm trying to give you an expensive fighter that I don't think is super likely to end up on the winning lineup. I've been wrong a couple times in a row. And there's a chance that I'm wrong here again. But Jose Aldo at 8.6K, I just think it's a tough price to pay against Marlon Vera. Jose Aldo's minus 150 to win here. And most importantly, I think Aldo needs a knockout. I don't think he can end up on the optimal lineup in a decision. I don't think he's going to be landing many takedowns. He hasn't been a wrestler recently in his career. He only lands 0.6 takedowns per 15 minutes. Hasn't landed a takedown since Ricardo Lamas in 2014. He only has 3 rounds to work with, so I don't see him landing more than 80, 90 significant strikes. Even if he goes out there, lands 90 significant strikes, wins a decision here, that's 75 points on DraftKings. That's not enough at 8.6K. I really think he has to go out here and knock out Marlon Vera, and I do think Aldo is the better fighter here, and I expect him to have advantages in the first few minutes, in the first round, maybe the second round, but I think he's going to slow down at some point, and I wouldn't be surprised if Vera takes over this fight late. But Vera's just been so durable throughout his career. He's never been finished by knockout. He's never been finished by submission. He's never been dropped in the UFC. And ultimately, it's just difficult for me to rely on a knockout from Aldo at 8.6K. Maybe if he was 7.9K, I'd feel differently. 8.6K, he's got an inside distance line of plus 345. That's not strong. I mean, there's pretty much every fighter surrounding Aldo has a much better inside distance line. I just talked about Jimmy Flick at plus 110. It's a big difference between plus 110 and plus 345. So relying on a near plus 400 line to end inside the distance is tough for me at 8.6K. I think Aldo could definitely win this fight by decision. I just think Vera has been very durable throughout his career and probably finds a way to survive. So that's going to do it, guys. Jose Aldo, 8.6K is my fade of the week. Thank you again for the support, as always. I hope you enjoy these videos. We're going to look to do more stuff in 2021. Again, subscribe to the channel, Mayo Media Network. Like the video. Let me know who your favorite DraftKings play of the week is. I really do look at that stuff. So cheers. You can follow me on Twitter, Brett Appley, TTPP, dailyfanmma.com for all your DraftKings breakdowns, needs, podcast rankings, predictions, betting content, all that good stuff. Happy holidays, guys. Take care. Stay safe out there. We'll talk to you soon. Peace.